Hello friends, Dale here, Three Generations, welcome. I want to introduce my video for today. I'm calling this an Amish adventure. It's about a group of Amish who have come from Lancaster heading down to Dillwyn, Virginia with a covered wagon and horses. They have all the stuff they need in their covered wagon, and they're riding horses or the wagon. And what's significant for me on this story is, as a freelance photojournalist, videographer, video producer, I've done a lot of stuff on Anabaptist slash, the Anabaptists would include Mennonites like myself, Old Order Mennonites, it could be horse and buggy Mennonites or black bumper Mennonites, and Amish. And so, on most of those stories I had to go after a beat. I had to go after it and figure it out. This unique story came right down Battlefield Road on Friday afternoon. Kendra and I were heading out. We were going to be going to Harrisonburg, take our grandson up there to a ball game. And in that process, just not even a mile, half a mile or so down the road, here comes this group of Amish. And so I stop and talk to them, and I'd already heard of this story and had made arrangements to meet them Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days later, wherever they were in Virginia, and do maybe a photo story on them. But they ended up, I invited them to stay at our farm for the night, as they look for a place to stay every night. They don't have any prearranged place to park their rig and put their horses and make their fire ring, etc., etc. So anyhow, this was a really fun time for me, and meeting these new Amish friends from Lancaster. They are of the Old Order Amish, and they come. There was 8 guys and I think 2 girls, maybe 3. I mean, there were 3, but they had friends for the weekend that came down from Lancaster. So I wasn't always sure which was which as far as who came and who was with their original group. But they ended up, they are of Old Order Amish in Lancaster, and the 8 guys all come from a different district. So each of them would have a different ministers and different bishops. So anyhow, yeah, that's the lead into the story today.
I don't know. Us kids growing up, as young kids, we love Indian books. The little Indian boys that are riding horses, and they're out in the woods and just doing tricks with their bows, their horses. That's kind of those types of books are huge in our growing up years, and I think it's every little boy's dream to somewhat experience that. And so I think that's kind of where that started. The guy that first mentioned about this trip, he loves horses. He loves the outdoors. And it was just a dream of his, and it probably came from reading books. And yeah, so that's kind of how that started. We all start this trip off as in roughing it. We want to rough it, but technically we're not. We're living in luxury. So yeah. So there's 8 of us guys that are doing the trip, and we're all from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There's a guy from Narvin, Pennsylvania. 4 guys from Strasburg, Pennsylvania. There's a guy from Quarryville, Pennsylvania, and 2 of them from Leola, Pennsylvania. And we're going down to Dillwyn, Virginia. There's a friend of ours that lives in that town that that'll be our finished destination. I didn't map it out to the mile, but it's anywhere from 350 to 400. I think we did about 260, and I think we got another 100 to go. It's a little tough to map out with the back roads that we take.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. One of the guys out of the 8 wanted to do this trip. This was a dream of his. He didn't know where he wanted to go. but he just knew he wanted to do a trip with a covered wagon and some riding horses. So he talked with a couple of his friends, and they got together and started talking, and then they got a couple more guys involved, and it was all for the experience, just for fun. And one of the guys, before the trip had started, suggested that we try to raise funds for something. And well, not everybody agreed to it because they didn't want the public's attention so much. And then about 5 or 6 days into the trip, so we started the trip as just an adventure. And about 5 or 6 days into the trip, there was a lot of people asking, you know, what's the cause? What's the reason of the trip?
Which group?
So we got together and we were like, you know what, we really should have a cause. So we started a fundraiser for, there's a clinic back in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's kind of like a school for special needs children. It's just a daycare, and so we're raising funds for that daycare center, and also we'd like to send some funds to one of the riders. His brother has cancer, so we'd like to put some funds with that. So that's how that all started. A lot of us, we do construction. Construction is a high demand back home where we come from. Farming is kind of fading off. It's just, it's tough. It's tough to be a farmer back home because everything is crazy expensive. And so yeah, we all do construction, and if you're in the construction world, you hammer down. Time is money, and when we do something like this, it's just like, man, this is awesome. We can get up, just kind of relax and eat breakfast, and harness the horses up, get on the road, and it's just a much slower, relaxed pace. It's fun. You get at camp in the evening, and you just kind of chill out. When you're doing construction, everything is boom, boom, boom. So one thing that really hit me was with this trip is having faith, trusting. So it's kind of funny. Our mission for the day is go down the road at the horse's pleasure, whatever speed they want to go to and however miles they want to do. And then the goal at the end of our day is to find camp. And mornings when we leave the previous camp, we kind of have a general idea where we want to be in the area, but we have no idea which place we will be at. And it's heartwarming to, I'm not scared that somebody will not open their doors. Usually the people that are interested will give you place, and they're all willing to have you on the farm property. And the people that are not interested, they'll just say no, and that's okay. We just move on, try to look for the next place. And having that trust and believing that somebody's going to open their doors for us is kind of a very neat experience, There's a lot of good people out in this on the earth yet. The horses, they are a huge part of this trip. Obviously, if it weren't for the horses, we couldn't do the trip. So they are our number one priority. The miles that are to be traveled that day kind of determine on the horses. If it's a lot of hills, then we do a shorter distance day. If it's flat and the horses are feeling frisky and have a lot of energy, then we do a little more miles per day. But yeah, our number one priority is to take care of horses. And even when we're looking for a camp, we don't necessarily care about ourselves. We're more worried about having a meadow for the horses that they can eat grass and roam around. That's what we're looking for when we look for a camp. And obviously not everybody has a meadow, but they have green grass, and they're happy to have us there. So we have a temporary fencing supplies in our covered wagon that we can set up a meadow in somebody's field and to put the horses in. We have a electric shocker that will connect to our temporary fence for the night, and the horses respect that. And yeah, the horses, I don't know, it's awesome that they can be a part of the trip because they do enjoy it. Mornings when we harness them up and we get them hitched up, you know, they're all hitched up to the wagon, they're all saddled up, and we're just making sure that we have all our belongings and all the trash is cleaned up. They're ready to go. They're ready to dig in, and that there's fun. So yeah. So one thing that also warms my heart. It's amazing how many people that are driving past in vehicle or are working in the yard, and they wave to us. They give us a smile, and that means a lot. The smile, a hand wave, just tells a story by itself. You know, we were kind of mentally preparing ourselves that people were gonna talk negative about us, you know, talk negative about our horses, that it might be abuse. But like I said before, the horses are our number one priority. Every evening they get a bath, we clean them, and but it's awesome how many people take time to wave their hand, give us a smile. Some pull off the side of the road till we pass, and obviously our biggest concern is to also be safe for the other people that are on the road. Yeah, I can say it's a lot of fun, and it's been a blessing in many different ways. It's awesome, the people that open their doors for us. You know, a lot of them spend 15 half hour, some of them spend an hour with us evenings. We welcome them into our fire ring, you know, and they want to hear parts of our journey stories, and we always like to hear their story, you know, of growing up or whatever it may be. We have a guy that plays guitar, and we usually play guitar evenings, and there's a couple of the people that we stayed at that also played guitar with our guitar player, and we're playing old classic gospel songs, you know, and it's awesome. It's just being out there in the fresh air, and stars are shining and fires burning. It just doesn't get better. I can say that I feel God's presence with us, just in a lot of different happenings, so to speak. I could feel God's presence. One is safety on the road. There's some hills that we had to climb, hills that we had to go down, you know, and I could just feel God's hand helping us, and I could just feel God's presence leading us to the camp. Because a lot of people that open their doors, they're just overjoyed to have us, and I feel that's God's presence. There's some people that are not interested in having us, and I accept that. I have nothing against them. And yeah, that's. Fundraiser that we started, that was kind of neat. We were kind of, you know, on edge about it, not sure, but it gave us a different perspective of the travel when we had that, when we decided to do that. It kind of gave us a responsibility, and you know, raising funds like that. It also it just was a different feel for when you were traveling the road. You know, you wanted to, of course we always want to be respectful, but it just really gave you a different feel when you were traveling the road, because people were reading the sign. And I know it's a homemade sign, it's not very easy to read, but it's okay. I can't quite imagine how our trip would be if we wouldn't be raising those funds. You know, we wouldn't have those people stopping the side of the road and handing us cash and so forth, you know. And that's just kind of it. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling when somebody pulls off and wants to donate to the funds. That's special.
Hey, thanks for watching. Blessings. Bye.